So with that in mind, you need to make sure you're taking care of them. And one of the best ways to do that is by making sure you have enough air pressure inside that tire and a deep enough tread. And one of the best ways to do that is the old quarter trick. If it covers Washington's head, you're in the clear. And if not, you might want to consider getting a new set of tires. But tires aren't the only thing you need to worry about when it comes to winterizing your vehicle. In fact, your junk in the trunk is just as valuable. You'll want to have things like kitty litter, salt, and even a tow rope in case you get extra stuck. And if you think you're done, well, you're wrong, because the front of the vehicle is just as important. The problem is people are donating after hours. They'll either leave their donations here on the sidewalk, or they'll come over here to the drop box, open it up, and put their donations inside like this. The only problem is someone comes by, opens up the drop box, and takes the donations for themselves. But I'm told there are a lot better options when it comes to looking for help. Just take a look behind me. You can see multiple rescue crews looking for him, all led by Cascade County Sheriff's Office. And we've been out here for the past couple hours, and that search is still underway. Taylor, to say what happened earlier today is nothing short of a parent's worst nightmare is a complete understatement. And despite everything turning out to be okay, this incident hit a little too close to home for one family here in Helena. Wading through streets that are now looking a lot more like rivers and canals here at Sun River. And folks, just take a look behind me. This was once a completely dry field, and now it's looking a lot more like a lake. The scene you see behind me is looking a lot different because that was once a wall of smoke. I've been telling you guys this all afternoon, that this wildfire is changing quickly. So right now things look like they've died down quite a bit, but there is a huge plume of smoke out of the North Hill, and over here right in front of me I can see rain clouds, which is going to be really handy because of that 0% containment. Folks, we're not talking just one, two, or even just a dozen birds. No, we're talking thousands of them just chilling on the tarmac.
I was working.
I was getting ready to go to work.
I was actually at work.
I had got up that morning and I was getting ready to take my daughter to school.
9/11, I was sitting at home getting ready for school.
I was at home getting ready for work.
Yeah, it was a terrible month, terrible day, you know.
Yeah, why would anyone do this, want to do this to us? I could not stop staring at what we were seeing on the news. And it was devastating, absolutely devastating. How could this happen here in America?
I mean, I couldn't believe it. At first, the first one I didn't think, I thought it was some type of accident. The second one, you know, you knew that there was something going on. And it just, like I said, to this day, it sends chills up your spine to think about it.
It was an uneasy feeling, you know, didn't really know what was going to happen, and it still seems like quite a turning point for the country as a whole.
I think that people need to be cognizant of this for the rest of our lives.
Some people would consider a plane crash their worst nightmare. But for first responders and airport staff, this is a nightmare they have to train for.
From an airport standpoint, we need to be prepared for anything that can happen, all the way from something as small as a flat tire to something as big as this full-scale exercise that we're doing today. But today isn't just geared toward keeping people in Great Falls safe. The picture is much bigger. It's the traveling community as a whole. I think, you know, everybody likes to have a sense of safety, and this is, at this airport, that is the number one priority, is having a safe environment for our passengers to take off and land here, and knowing that we are prepared if there is a disaster like today's. I saw everything from people being treated for fake injuries to firefighters putting out flames. But Heinzelman tells me their biggest struggle had nothing to do with either one of those. I'd say the hardest part would be just the communications aspect.
Proceed on Bravo 4 Charlie, Charlie 1 or Charlie 3.
You know, there's a lot of different radio channels and such that people talk on, and then just trying to coordinate that with everybody. Which is exactly why today's training is so important. To be able to go out and plan it and run into the things that you didn't know you needed to know and that type of thing, so you're ready for an incident if it does happen. I think if this were a real-world incident, the best thing a community can do is to let the emergency people do their job. People tend to flock to the incidents, and we really, you know, in order for the emergency responders to do their job, they really need their room and their space to do it.
Thankfully, the Great Falls International Airport has never had to deal with something like this in real life. But now they're ready for one.
For people to come together from all over.
Powwows are a way for anyone and everyone to gather together in a celebration of community. Today's powwow has attracted thousands of people from across the nation in different tribes. And while many will be watching in amazement, those who are in the dance have something else on their minds.
It's about being in the circle and having that pride.
While many powwows might look the same, let me assure you each one is unique in its own way. Every drum is different, and every song has its own history.
Then he asked me, well, the singing, we've been to a few of the Indian powwows. We heard the chants and they all sound the same. But they're not the same. You gotta have Indian ears to tell the difference.
And for many, the difference isn't just in the songs. The art of the powwows as a whole is starting to see a dramatic change.
But now, at the powwows, you're seeing it slowly go back. You're hearing the old style jingle, the old style fancy.
While the culture of powwows is starting to bring back traditions of the old world, other aspects of the celebration are changing, and it's something the community is divided on.
As younger people advance, you know, and want to see change and bringing in modern things and those type of things that they get worried that they're going to be left out or they're going to get, you know, something's going to happen, and so they rather than support it, they'll fight it.
But in the end, anything you'll ever need to know about powwows boils down to one simple school of thought.
Anything can happen in powwow. You can see it turn, you know, you can see evolution of singing.
People here in Augusta are ready to start cleaning up from this year's devastating floods, but they tell me that the sandbags are here to stay.
I'm going to leave those sandbags for at least a couple weeks.
With warmer temperatures on the way, the community of Augusta says they're still waiting to see if they'll get more flooding from mountain runoff. After last year's flood season, they've learned it's better to be safe rather than sorry.
I'm fearful it's going to happen again. I definitely don't want to go through what we did last year with getting sandbags out too late.
There is some thought that there might be another one, just because we're not done, snow's not melted, we're expecting more rain, so we're braced for that.
But despite the fears of another flood, the community is starting to move forward with cleanup preparations, a big task many don't want to face.
A lot of hard work. Yep, a lot of manual muscle work.
However, many aren't sure what to think. This is the first time anyone in the community has ever seen flooding of this magnitude.
Yeah, it's never happened. My dad, Walter Lame, who's lived here all of his life, he is 82, and he's never seen it.
Never anticipating there would be two 50-year floods in, you know, consecutive years. So that was unexpected, but you know, don't do the same thing twice, learn from it.
And while the community is doing all they can to rebuild, the task ahead of them is a little out of reach.
It's a very big job for the town of 300 people. We're definitely going to have to call in, I think, the bigwigs to be able to do it.
But the good news is the county and state are already ready to go.
Maybe picking up sandbags or mucking out their basements and things like that to basically just coordinate helping those residents that need help cleaning up their property.
To the credit of the state, they guarantee us that it will be fixed within 2 weeks.
In the meantime, the community will continue to take care of one another, because at the end of the day, that's what Augusta is all about.
We'll all still come together and help each other out.
One of the best ways you can help is by volunteering. Augusta will be hosting cleanup days June 6th and 8th, or you can donate monetary donations to the Augusta Chamber of Commerce. Right now, everything is just a wait game as community members here in Augusta wait to see what Mother Nature has in store. Tonight, Glacier National Park is reacting to the recent death of a 14-year-old girl on Going to the Sun Road. On Monday, the teenage girl was with her family in the park when rocks fell onto the vehicle, killing the girl and injuring her family. We live in Montana, and it's hard enough predicting the weather tomorrow, much less wildfires. But when it comes to these predictions, there's a lot more that goes into it. Potential change in departments for the Helena Civic Center has some people worried. The center will now fall under Parks and Recreation and Open Lands Department, causing concern over whether or not that department can provide the Civic Center shelter the support it needs. You know, I put on my brave face, I bundled up, I kind of looked like the Michelin Man walking down the streets of Great Falls as I was asking community members how they feel about the early winter. The suspect in a standoff taking place near Rimrock Mall this week faces up to 30 years in prison. Many have even posted to Great Falls Area Concerned Citizens Facebook page, with one person even saying, "Today cheese, tomorrow the cows." Not a bad forecast if you ask me. A lot better than what we've been seeing over the past few weeks. Thank you so much for that. I think people are liking you now that we're not seeing a stretch of 90s weather.
All right,
So thank you, Greg. Leo Goldman, you now join us for sports. Good weather for it, and you were saying the Voyagers are now doing a little bit better. On to some education news now. The Lewis and Clark County Area United Way named their new executive director this week.